Hello and welcome to Exotic Gardening UK, Yorkshire Kris Weekly, and on this week's episode we'll be looking at some of the biggest and best, most amazing Canary Island date palms here in the UK. So before we start this episode proper, I'll just give you a bit of an introduction of how I filmed this and what we're looking at. So we're looking at the Canary Island date palm, or Phoenix canariensis, and we're looking at those palm trees planted in the ground on the UK mainland, and we're going to be looking at the biggest examples across the country. And when I say across the country, it really is the south that dominates the large specimens. So we're looking at a lot in London, a few on the south coast, and then down in the southwest. We do have an example a bit further north in North Wales, but we're not looking at those in the northwest or in sort of northeast because there's not many big specimens up there, because this isn't a truly hardy palm across the UK. And this video really shows that, because all the best specimens really are down south or in a city location. So yes, we do have some specimens. There's a couple in more than a couple in Northern Ireland, but nothing massive. Same in sort of North Yorkshire. We've got one in Scarborough that's been there a number of years near the coast, but we've got none sort of larger than what I'll show you in this video that are inland in the UK, sort of North Midlands or Northern England or Scotland. So we're not looking at those. So yes, there are some nice specimens that have been planted out in the last 5-10 years, but nothing at a scale and size as most of what I'll be showing you in this video. And it just goes to show that this plant isn't really hardy in the long term at the moment in the UK. So the one behind is in my garden. So I'm obviously in Yorkshire in northern England, and this has been planted out nearly 5 years now. So it has seen some cold. It's seen down to -7, and it's not been damaged at all really. So this is a good candidate, hopefully, moving forward, if the winters aren't too cold, to actually growing and becoming a big established plant, as big as some of the ones that are going to feature in this video. And we will see as we move through this video that quite a lot of these palm trees are planted out as small specimens in a small space, but they quickly grow and get to be absolutely huge, dominating their spaces, and most of them in front gardens. And you'll see some of these don't survive too long when they get too big. So we'll start the video now. I've got to say a big thank you to the European Palm Forum, and especially Hybrid Palms UK, one of the members on there, who has found a lot of these palm trees and other specimens and other species around the UK and mapped them as well. So you can see that if you're a member of the EPS. But I'll go through these specimens now, and hopefully you'll enjoy this video. So we start our journey around the country in London, and we see a very small Canary Island date palm in August 2008, and it's been neglected somewhat. It's got quite a few weeds around it, and as we go forward to 2012 we've got a lot more weeds around it, and it's not really grown at all. And now if we skip forward a little bit further, so if you go to 2015, we can see that it's actually been looked after a little bit more. It's been weeded and it's grown into a decent sized plant that's probably just over 2 meters tall. And we'll go forward again into 2016, and we've got the beginnings of a trunk forming here. And then to 2018, and we've got a very good sized palm tree now, and we've probably got signs of flowering in the centre of that yellow patch. Go forward again to 2019, and we've got the start of a trunk. You can't see much of it because it's still got quite a lot of weeds around it, and even from a distance it looks an impressive palm in this part of London. And then we go forward to 2020, so knowing that that sign's in the way, but we can just see the palm tree behind. And then if we go pretty much up to date to 2021, we can see we've got a proper trunk forming now on this very nice date palm in London. And finally, there we go. So just over 13 years, we've gone from a tiny little plant into a very impressive palm tree Here we are in London on this nice street. We've got 2 Canary Island Date Palms in 2012 here. One's much bigger than the other. And then we come forward 7 years to 2019, the latest available pictures here. And we have 2 very impressive Canary Island Date Palms. The one on the right got a proper trunk on it, and it's dominating the front gardens here, which can be an issue because they can be planted in areas where you really need more space than what's been given. Here we have a couple more very large specimens in 2009. As we move forward to 2012, you can see there's been cold damage, so they're not very hardy. So even in London, you can see cold damage on both these palm trees from the bad winters of 2010, 11 and 12. But if we come forward to 2020, they have recovered amazingly well. And look at the trunks on these, especially the one on the right, absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful specimens that have survived the cold winters and produced fantastic trunks and really good green foliage on these as well. Here we are on Matlock Lane in London, by the church. Good specimen here in 2008. Just beginning of a trunk. Move forward to 2015 and we've got a proper trunk here, and we've got flowering as well, beautiful green arching leaves. And then come forward to almost the present day, we've got one of the best specimens really in this part of the country. Fantastic palm tree, full crown of leaves, nice gorgeous colour, flowering as well, really nice trunk as well. So a fantastic large specimen in London here. So here's another good size front garden specimen, about 2 meters tall in 2008. And as we move to 2014, it really dominates this front garden now. It's got a decent sized trunk forming here. And then as we get to 2016, it's a very large palm tree specimen now. We've got a good trunk on this, and it's really dominating the front garden from side to side. And then we come to 2020 and we've got a huge trunk on this now, slightly wonky. It's flowered, it's got nice green leaves, and it's, you know, above the front of the house now. And here we come to sort of nondescript front gardens with nothing in 2008, just a bit of lawn. And then obviously the owners in 2016 have started developing a tropical garden on one of these houses, and included in there is a Canary Island date palm in the front garden with other plants. There's bananas in there and yuccas as well. And we've got 2 here, and we've got a third on the very far left as well. And if we move to 2020, we can see how much they've grown in just a few short years. Got a really good specimen in the centre here, loads of other plants like phormiums and bananas, and then the other garden specimen is really shot up as well. This is a corner plot in London, 2008. You can see the Canary Island date palm just behind the privet hedge here, so it's about 2 meters tall. And then we whiz forward to 2019, and you can see it's a huge specimen. So rapid growth on this palm tree. It's really dominating this corner, and this is the other view of it from the side as well. So huge specimen, not much of a trunk yet, but huge leaves completely covering the front garden. Here's another specimen with quite a narrow trunk but very tall arching leaves in 2012. And we come forward now to 2014, and you can see that slender trunk there. It's been well pruned. You've just got the newest leaves being left on, obviously for access for the neighbours as well as themselves. And then you come to 2019, and you've got a huge specimen nearly up to the first floor windows, and it's covering the front garden. Big trunk here. Again, it's been flowering as well, and it's, you know, you can't miss this palm tree. It's absolutely huge, sort of out of proportion with the front gardens. And this is another example of a front garden with another palm tree that's out of proportions. Look at the size of that in that small little brick area in 2018. Again flowering, covering the path to the right. Here we are with another specimen. We've also got another palm tree here, which I think's probably Brea edulis on the left. If we come forward through the years, if we get to 2019, we can see it's a huge palm tree. It's not been clipped at all, so you've got all the old leaves and the new leaves. Dominates this little area of greenery. And this is 2019. If you cut these leaves off, you'll see the trunk, but they've all been left on. Huge specimen. The Brea edulis has not grown as well to the left, but unfortunately, if we move forward to 2021, it's been cleared for development. So that's the end of that Canary Island date palm. This is quite a famous one. This is just off Lambeth Bridge in London. Very large palm tree here. Nice stocky trunk. Bit of annual bedding around it, and this is from 2008. And then if we move forward to 2021, you can see what a huge specimen this has become. Got a bit of a narrow trunk at the base, but then it really opens up into a huge palm tree, one of the biggest Canary Island date palms in London. Again, another front garden specimen here in a very small front garden. And then if we go through the years, we can see how in 2015 it's really been pruned back savagely, so there's not many leaves showing. Evidence of flowering as well. It's got a narrow trunk because it's been pruned so much. But then if we come forward to 2020, it's really swollen the trunk and the leaves have been left to do their own thing higher up, and it's absolutely huge now. So that's well over 2 meters of clean trunk and another 2 or 3 meters of leaves above. Fantastic specimen, again in London. This is another beautiful green young specimen in 2008 in London, in the centre of the front garden, but we've got much more space to play with here in this front garden. Although we've got a bit of topiary either side of it, we've got more space back and front for it to develop. And if we come forward to 2020, we can see it's really grown, got a nice trunk developing there. And you can see how big these palm trees get. That's a good 5 meters across from leaf tip to leaf tip, left to right. And again, about 5 meters tall. So that's absolutely huge. Really dominating this front garden now, but it's just about got the space to work with. Here's a street with no palm trees on it in 2016. And then as we move forward, we'll see that we've had some large specimens, Canary Island date palms planted with very large trunks. So there's what, good 3-4 meters of trunk in 2016 and then 2018. So they've really been planted as large specimens, which can work if you get a good root ball. And then if we fast forward to 2020, they've established well, got nice healthy crowns and looking really healthy like they've been there all their lives. And these have the space to grow and look good in this large front garden in London. Now here's a story of what can happen if you plant a Canary Island date palm and realise you don't have the space. So it's already big in 2008 compared to the size of the front garden. We move forward to 2015 and again it's not got the healthiest looking foliage, but it's grown well, it's big. And obviously the owners have decided it's got too big. If we get to 2020, you can see it's over next door's drive. It's dominating the front garden here. And it's a very large specimen. And the owners obviously thought this is probably too big. So if we fast forward again, if we go to 2021, you can see that they've been cut down, cleared. and the palm tree is no more in this front garden. This is one of my favourite specimens in London, Egerton Terrace. You can see it's a good big specimen in 2008 in this little courtyard garden. Move forward again to May 2015 and you've already got a good sized trunk, well over 2.5 metres, 3 metres tall of trunk in 2015. So you can see how fast these can grow. And then in 2020 you got a full crown of leaves, old and new, lots of flowering been going on. Huge specimen now, and it looks absolutely gorgeous in this area, and it has the space to really, fill this space out and look at its best. Now we move out of London into Eastbourne, and we've got a long promenade of palm trees that are not very big in 2009. Got about a dozen or so Canary Island Date Palms. We move forward a few years to May 2015 and we can see they've grown pretty well, some better than others because obviously we're right near the sea here. It's not ideal with the salt winds. But then we move to 2021 and you can see some have grown to a good size now. So they're starting to trunk, got 1 metre or 2 a trunk on these, lots of other tropical plants planted around them. And we can see most of these have grown really well, and this beautiful long promenade of palm trees, these Canary Island Date Palms, Phoenix canariensis, good dozen or so down here. We can just go all along this road and we can see them planted, and the ones here, if we just zoom in a little bit, you can see the nice clean trunks on these. So beautiful palm trees in Eastbourne on the south coast of England. Here we are in Weymouth in 2009 on a very prominent roundabout. Many people will have seen this one because of its location. This is a good size in 2009. Not the healthiest specimen in the world, it's got some leaves looking a bit ragged. But then we come through to May 2021 and it's really come into its own. We'll go around the roundabout and we'll see that it's got a nice full head of leaves on here. Really dominating the roundabout now, but still got lots of space to develop further, to do different views of it around. And then zoom in on it, you can see what a fantastic palm tree this is in Weymouth, again on the south coast of England. And not everything is in London or the south coast. Here or in North Wales, believe it or not, and we've got a nice size Canary Island Date Palm in 2009, and it's still here in 2016. Not the best location, crammed against a wall and a building, so it's not got a lot of room, but it does show even in northerly climates, if you're by the coast, you can grow well. Now we move to Falmouth in Cornwall, and we can see quite a distressing scene of lots of plants looking half dead. I'm assuming this is from drought rather than anything else, rather than cold damage in this location in May 2009. It's not just the palm trees, but everything looks pretty much dead. But then as we move forward to May 2011, a lot of things have been cleared out. The palm trees in the centre have thankfully been left, and they're looking pretty tatty. There's hardly any green on there, all the leaves being cut off. But thankfully, as we get forward into May 2015, the palm trees have survived and they have started to grow decent sized crown of leaves now. And this very sort of obvious roundabout, so millions of people will be driving past this location. So it needs to look good, and thankfully again in September 2021 the Canary Island Date Palms have recovered and they look fantastic now that they've been obviously well established. Get the roots in, get the water uptake, a nice crown of leaves. Here we are in Paynton, again down on the south coast. This front garden planting. We move forward a few years to 2021 and it's a huge specimen on this sloping front garden, dominating the houses here. Absolutely huge. Here we have just a bit of a roadside verge in Torquay. Lots of brambles, lots of bushes there. And then a couple of years later in 2014 it's been cleared and they've decided to plant a large Canary Island date palm with a decent sized crown on it, but not a full crown of leaves. Quite an exposed area here. But if we move forward to 2020, you can see lots more clearings happened, and you got the great big specimen looking fantastic. And we can go back and we can see how it's developed over the last sort of 5 years into this wonderful specimen that you can see from the roadside here. If we zoom in, we can see it in its full glory. Here we have a row of Canary Island date palms again. These are in Torquay. Very, very narrow space to grow in on this stone wall and car park area. And if we go forward 11 years, they haven't grown half as well as a lot of the specimens I've shown you in this video, but they're all alive. They've got very, very little stumpy trunks on here because literally got no space to grow. They're probably not being fed or watered much either, but they're growing. They've got much shorter leaves. Here we have some of the best specimens in the country. These are by Penzance Police Station. Here in 2010 you can see they've not been clipped back at all, been just left to grow. So got all the old leaves on as well as new leaves. And look, in 2018 we can see they've grown absolutely loads, but look at all those old tatty leaves that could really do with a good prune. The one at the far end by the zebra crossing looks a lot better, but the biggest one in the centre here, look at it, all those old leaves. So they've obviously been, you got some cold damage and probably wind damage as well, but it's just the age of them, probably not been watered much here, although Cornwall does get high rainfall, allowing these plants to grow well. And finally, the largest specimen on mainland UK is in Torquay, and this is absolutely huge. It's hard to get a sense of how big it is, but if we just zoom out we can see it's many, many, many metres tall, full crown of leaves, by far the biggest specimen in the UK. Thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardener UK. Join me next week, we'll be doing more in the garden.